Okay, I didn't know this would happen, but after about 30 minutes of recording, I just got a little note, size limit reached, and stopped recording. So I just started a new one. Nothing's been lost, no time, blah, yada, yada, yada. So anyway, Faerie has 4 spatial dimensions, but it hasn't chirality. So it's got like a heart, like it's like it's a living thing, you know. Faerie it's inescapable from people and creatures and life. Like it's not. At times I have to describe it kind of stoically, but it's just nothing if not vibrant and feeling like what's what and who's who and the source and the pulse. And so in that descent that I described of having a brief vision of the starting one's perception in Faerie and then descending down to earth, it's like yes, loud, here, of course, this, bright, and then it's, going and swimming and walking and being and doing, and then it's I don't know, say like talking and thinking and discussing and relating and doing magic, causing this to happen, causing that to happen, and great things and small things, and just there's so much life in it. And like in the top like 4 to 5 layers of causality, that's really all there is. And like that is like the hierarchical or stratified heart of the place, because it's very stratified and hierarchical. It's actually only the Leviathan in most of my models who has literal full 4-dimensionality. Everyone else would be arrayed in a literal pecking order, just one mind to the next, who basically from least dimensionality to most dimensionality, but like the middle kind of 4 or 5 or even 6 layers of this are just breathtaking and wonderful. And it's only when you get to, I described the kind of bell-shaped thing where it goes out and it comes back in and it kind of cuts under and back out, and then sort of this wave shape eventually subsides into just regular old 4-ness, into just 3-dimensionality. But like the whole outgoing part of that canopy, if you stay up there, if you live up there, if you are a Faerie of status, of adequate status to stay up there, you'll never even think of the existence of 4-ness. But once you get out, just there is a point where that gives way, and there's kind of this voice in your head saying, oh, well, there's that. like 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 all of these vibrant, wonderful, breathing, beating, pulsing things, and then you get to kind of a point where it's like suddenly the magic wanes to the point where your feeling or your mind is like well, yes, I suppose you must it feels very British to me if I had to compare it to what we have in the U.S. Or in America, yeah, not U.S. or America, in the world, in Fornus. There's something not entirely dissimilar at work here too. It's just much, well, that's just a later topic. The point being, when the diminishment starts, I expected, I think, when I was going down away from Faerie into Earth, that I would feel, frankly, I didn't think it would all be so Faerie-centric. Like, I really thought there would be a firmer, more direct approach from fiveness into fourness. I was thinking, I was really surprised at how it felt in the beginning, and I was even more surprised when I got to the later layers or levels of causality, like say 6 through 10 or 12 or whatever, like the ones that kind of go into that swooshing inner part of the bell. I thought it would be a simple, and now we fade out into fourness, and poof, we're back where we were. Can you believe it? Here we are, and here we've been this whole time. It's not like that at all. Like there's this huge gushing fullness, and then the huge gushing fullness actually like tightens and comes in on itself in a way that maintains the Faerie mentality, or the stream of consciousness of the above part. I like the word canopy. I think I'll try to keep calling it canopy, although it really wants to be called the heart of Faerie. That's what it is. But yeah, like after the canopy, I'm saying this, I'm having trouble getting straight to it. I hope I'm not boring you, but really, it's not suddenly, as there becomes less Faerie, there becomes more Earth. It's not like that at all. It's like, it's just like a different layer of Faerie. The part under the canopy that kind of constricts inward is like, well, you can't go up forever, can you? Or, well, you knew there would have to be a cost, or but it takes the lowly among us to be able to carry high the heads of the mighty, or like it's a very socially stratified, and it's very just carrying on through the mindset of the heart. So like, and it continues in that same way, like like, then yes, there must be this too. And I mean, I guess it's hard to do. It's hard to like say this part as a human being with like compassion and knowledge and empathy. Even though like I come very, very close to being Fae, and like I was able to make this recorrido desde la canopia hacia, bueno, hasta el fin del mundo. But it's kind of like a pursed lips kind of feeling, like haughty disdain. Like at first, under the canopy, it's just a very practical. Well, you knew there would have to be, a scrunching up to cause the everything above, but then it kind of gets more like, just kind of like the narrator of the soul of Faerie kind of just goes quiet and makes more and more unpleasant kind of facial expressions and expressions of hauteur and disgust and kind of turning away. That, yes, that, I'm glad I found that phrase, because that's what it is. It's the further, when you get to the edges of Faerie, first the canopy, then the underbelly or under canopy, then the swoosh that leads back to Earth. When you get past the under canopy and into the final swoosh, that's when the Faerie voice in my head, it just starts turning its back on this thing. It turns itself back to face toward the heart, and just kind of brushes the dirt off its lapels, off its shoulders or whatever, and frankly at the end just refuses to see. So there is, I really hope I'm doing this right, like, okay, I guess I'm kind of, this voice that I'm talking about, the soul of Faerie that I am talking about, is something that I'm perceiving that is not me. So I'm living through this whole experience aware that I am not this voice. I'm not Faerie. And so that's how, even as I continue to move into the further and further levels of cause and effect, I can perceive the Fae listener just to grow disinterested and condescending, and eventually to fully withdraw her attention from me, the poor being that is being discharged, thrown out, kicked out of Faerie. So, like, it's not in any way aggressive, and there's no I want to say leeway. There's no concession made. Like it's not like at the end of this recorrido, the Fae voice says, well, that was fun, but here we are back on Earth. Or like, oh, here's Earth coming up. Or like, wasn't that stupendous? Now we're back to real life. Like, it's nothing like that at all. The reality is always firmly, continuously centered on Faerie. And when I finally, having no magic of my own, being just a passenger in this experience, get booted out from the very last level of causality, I just find myself, metaphorically kicked to the curb, ass on the ground, just, bum down, shirt all disheveled and untucked, and it's very unceremonious. It's very unceremonious, but that unceremony is so intentionally, I guess, long story short, as you can hear from what I'm saying, there is ultimately a firm line between the causality of Faerie and the causality of Earth. And you would think that because Earth came first and Faerie was built second, that the causality of you would expect there to be some input, that the earthly would feed into the Fae and have some impact, cause something to happen within the Fae. You'd think there would be some leakage of causality, but there's just not. Like, there's a very firm, sharply held line between the two, and that's how it works. That's how it has to work. You can't have a physically higher dimensionality without having a dividing line, a point where it stops and starts. And so interestingly, it's actually the converse. Like, it's actually Faerie that has some causal influence over Earth, and not the other way around. Faerie has the most prominent or primary influence of causing death to be inescapable to us humans, but it also spit me out and caused me to feel, to kind of come to on the ground with a start, like it left me in a certain kind of mindset without itself changing its own mindset by my presence. I didn't come to the end of this recorrido and say, and I couldn't I couldn't see with my eyes where I had come through. It was just gone. Poof, you're out. You're not there anymore. In my memory, obviously, I can remember the sensation really clearly, but I couldn't, see it. I think that's finally enough words to do justice to the experience, and I don't know if, I don't know how this will be received. It doesn't particularly matter until much later. I know eventually it'll be quite well received, but anyway, right now I feel like there's probably going to be a lot of attention paid to the fact that I'm high and I'm being overly verbose and trying to, spending more time than I ought to have to, searching for the right words and yada yada yada. I know there's always with my videos, there's a lot to critique. I hope that I get better at them, but I know that getting it out there is much more important than how I get it out there. The attention, audience, renown can come later. I just have to get the truth out there. That's what this is about, truth. And I can portray the truth just fine high using language. So I hope you'll not judge me for it. So after it's probably a good 40 minutes, I guess 50 minutes of the whole video, but like at least 25 just on that one experience. But it was worth it. So anyway, so the rest is less extraordinary to live through, but rather more extraordinary to listen to. I'm going to make some even bigger claims. Going to make the claim that I'm going to open an energy drink and pause this and come back in a minute. Now let me state the pattern quite plainly. The pattern is thus. The effect of the effect causes the cause. What I've just described to you. The effect... okay, so the cause is the earthly state of things when Faerie is constructed. The effect is Faerie itself. The effect of the effect is that which Faerie causes, the whole bell-like sphere, or I don't know, obloid, or the whole gambit of Fae causality is the effect of the effect. So the effect of the effect causes the cause. It turns out that when you do this, what I've just described, Faerie eventually spreads and becomes such a great so great is the effect of the effect that it circles back around or wraps back around and actually is the impetus of the thing that caused the original cause to begin with. So it's a loop, obviously. It's a logical loop. It's kind of like saying the whole thing causes itself, but it's much more precise than that, and necessarily much more precise than that. So I'm not gonna attempt to prove this to you. I think those of you who are appropriately intelligent and well-read will find the idea really tickles your fancy, or just find it beautiful or humorous, or find it something, it's pretty, it's really nice, but I'll hammer down on it, more over time, by and by. So anyway, and actually I guess I'm about to explain the how of that part too. So here is a new cause and effect chain. The cause being the disquiet in my heart, in Faerie, in the heart of things there, feeling all those feelings, yet also feeling remorse for the death to which I've condemned all the humans. I ultimately make a tremendously brave and possibly stupid and radical decision, which is I am going to actually run away and escape Faerie and bring the pattern to humankind. Again, not to bring down Faerie. I don't think anybody would. Well, I don't know. I don't know if the Leviathan might have thought that I was willing to risk bringing down Faerie. But that wasn't my intention. My intention was just give it to them to see what they can do with it, level the playing field. That is my whole mission on being on Earth here. At least according to this continuous strand of truth, which I'm outlining for y'all right now. So there's no way to hide what I'm doing. Very little head start can be made or given, and I'm the number 2 guy politically, you know. I'm second only to the Leviathan himself, so I'm trusted and given access to everything. And plus, I designed the whole thing. I'm the only one who, including the Leviathan, I'm the only one who understands how it all works. Because to the Leviathan, it's just his body. It's just his body being a body, like all of our bodies are, just, you know, going about metabolism and changing and doing this and that as we might will them to, but most of it is you know, baked in. It's not like it's not a conscious mental project for anyone except me. I'm the only one who thought through it. Everybody else lives through it, including the Leviathan. So I do have a considerable advantage. Then there's a part of it that I have to kind of, just accept on faith. I don't understand why, but it so happens that when one, there's a very closely, there's a intersecting, separate but closely related strand of truth that I might have to switch to right now. I think I do, actually, and I think that'll be the content of part 3. Suffice it to say for now that I flee Faerie, flee the Leviathan, and I believe that the Leviathan is hotly in pursuit of me, looking to kill me for what I'm doing. And I find a way, through my ingenuity and through something inexplicable, which you might call God, to do something else while I'm fleeing. End of part 2.